What's up, family? We here with the code, man, where we vibrate at a creator's frequency, as you guys know. And it's your boy T, the Chief Geek, father of four, master of none. And today I got my main man. He been so busy for us, man. But I got my main man, Kwame Simmons, man. What's up, bro?
To it, man. Congratulations, brother.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, man.
And to that dynasty, that lineage, brother.
You know what that means? We got to add to them bags.
Don't leave nothing on the floor is what I tell them.
Every time. I'll be like, where you at, bro? Hey, man, bags on the floor. I'm busy. I'm like, all right, he'll check in with me when he get time. And today he is here, man. And I, first of all, got to thank you for making time. And I kind of want to get into what we do on the code is we get into the thought process of people like yourself who's found a way to create their own lane, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's easy to do a job every day,
right?
But when you take that job and add some stuff around it and carve it out to where only you've done it the way you're doing it, I really want to get into like what inspired you to do it the way you've done it. First of all, tell the people about the Simmons Advantage, and then just tell me how did you create that niche?
Yeah, I appreciate it, T. I think the biggest thing for me is that I knew in high school that I wanted to do a career that that would allow me to connect with people. I always loved people, and so what I thought that was going to be was being a medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
So I went to school, as a pre-med major, and I took organic chemistry, brother.
Dig that.
And organic chemistry is probably the hardest class I ever seen in my life, bro. So it broke your man to his knees. So I was like, I think you might want to try a different path, bro. this ain't gonna be it.
Word.
And so fast tracking that, man. One of the things I love about HBCUs, big shout out Hampton University, is that they show you how to grow up.
Okay.
And what we know as men is that, your path to manhood and to success is not linear, right? It's more like a maze. You try certain things and it take you to a different path. You learn something, you lose something, you come back, and then you start winding this road, and that's the path. And so, I eventually became a history major, which I never regret a day turning back. And got into education actually when I was down in Hampton, Virginia, and I was at a adjudicated youth center. And so this is a place in Virginia where kids get a chance to leave out, where if something happens where they had to be put out of school for long term, then they have to go to this transition center. And what I realized there that I've come to see in any state that I go to, overwhelmingly the people inside those centers are Black and brown.
Got it.
Right. And so the system is finding a way to spit the kids out that are Black and brown because for some reason it's not working for them. And so this was like 99 that I realized this, that I had this first experience, but throughout my time in education, it's just become more of a pattern. And so that's what I saw. And so, I got into education, stayed in that space. And now over 20 years later, realizing that my niche is working in urban centers, right? And anywhere there's, number one is with Black and brown people. That's number one, no matter where they are. The next is people in poverty.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what we don't realize is there's so much poverty that exists in our country that's not in the urban centers. And there's a woman who told me this story. I was at a conference. She said, where are you from? I said, Detroit. I said, told her the story about, supporting people of color and that thing. And she said, I've heard about Detroit and I know what's going on there. She said, what's sad is that where I'm from is rural poverty and nobody talks about it.
Wow.
She said, so we're living this poverty path almost in the same country, but invisible.
Wow.
Like nobody reaching out.
Was she white or Black?
She was white.
She was white.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she was white. And so that was the first inclination. At the time I didn't quite feel her as much now, but I've been to places like rural Mississippi, right? Like 2020 rural Mississippi, so recent to see what's happening, rural Louisiana. And so some of these places in rural parts of Michigan, like when you see the ruins of what happens in Flint in particular, after General Motors headquarters leaves there, like people aren't talking about the implications of when big employers leave urban centers or
Yep.
leave any particular area, what happens
What
to
happens?
the people who are there?
Absolutely.
Right. And this becomes the ramifications that we see. And so the Simmons Advantage was created because all of this experience that I had in schools, I just started getting fed up and frustrated with people, and having to argue with them about the experiences of Black people in schools.
Got it.
And so that's what we do. And so the Simmons Advantage focuses on organizational change work. And so that's large scale initiatives that anyone is doing that they want to support inside schools or supporting schools. And so, for example, foundations might be wanting to pour money in. MBassador Studios might say, "Hey, I'm looking to partner with the school district. How do I do that? How do I get a return on my investment?" And so we partner with you to think through like what makes sense for you in order to do that.
Absolutely.
And then we do leadership development. And so that's creating a path forward for anyone in the educational spectrum on how do you get to the next stage? How do you do that well? And so, for example, as a former principal, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to be a superintendent. But what people don't realize is only really 2 positions in a school district that has significant influence.
Okay.
What will 3? The teacher,
Yep.
the principal, and the superintendent. Every other position in there, they're negotiating with those 3. Right. And so that's what I try and explain to adults, because they're like, oh, I'm going to be an assistant principal. I'm going to have this influence. Only if the principal says you can, though. Right. I'm going to be assistant superintendent. You're going to do what you can if the superintendent says you can.
Right.
Right. And so you got to understand, and there's nothing wrong, but understand that you're not the boss.
Right.
Right. And so it's only 3 bosses: teacher, principal, superintendent. And so that's what we do that to create that space for them. And then the last one is what's near and dear to me. My oldest brother has lived his life with a disability. And so I've lived with him. He's my oldest brother. And so I've learned to never look at him as a person that is any different than anyone else. He just has some things that he can't do like some other people. Right. And so we do workforce development for students in high school or recently graduated from high school with disabilities to create career experiences for them. So they might have work experiences.
Yep.
They get career experiences. And so that's the work that we do, bro.
That's amazing work, man. So BET honors, right?
Yes, sir.
Microsoft highlighted you in February, I think.
Yes, sir.
Black History
Month. Yeah.
So now that the notoriety is coming and the momentum is building up, we got Trap P.D. coming down the pipeline, right? Yeah. What's the hardest thing for you right now to overcome?
How to manage time.
Yeah.
How to manage time. It's like unequivocally, it's growth. And so what's happening is that I know the content that needs to be done for the Simmons Advantage, but now it's being the owner of the business. Yep. It's learning how to lead the business and do the structures, create the structures for the business to function and for the content to get out efficiently.
Yeah.
And so how to manage that time and how to structure it the right way. And like we talked to our dope producer, Antoine, like, bruh, you got to boss up, you got to man up.
Yep.
You got to man up. You got to learn the things and how to manage your time to be successful. And when you're doing new things, you don't necessarily know how. There's no blueprint to it.
No, it's not.
You got to keep trying to get up earlier and earlier
especially on Mondays.
Come on, bro. It's make it happen Monday. That's what we say. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, man. This is dope stuff, man. I mean, even out in the suburbs, when my son, he had the incident where he was being called the N-word, right? Yeah. And so now, as a parent that's got your son out there in that space, you almost feel guilty, like, what did I expose you to? You know what I mean? And so being able to call you, because I called you, and I'm like, hey man, you got to walk me through this one, right? And just having you a part of that process helped, right? And so now here's a brown Black kid out in that space trying to navigate, right?
Right.
So it's everywhere, man. At the end of the day, we need somebody at the table for us and our kids to keep them out of that jail pipeline. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I think the Simmons Advantage is doing a great job of orchestrating that.
That's right.
So
and even touching on that, Tarmel, the thing about what impacts our Black and brown boys particularly is their ability to feel seen and heard inside schools, right? Really in any space. And I heard Pastor Solomon Kinlock say this just the other day, big shout out, that if you don't see yourself in the Bible, then you shouldn't be reading it. So immediately I started saying, well, how does that apply to other parts of my life? And I said, well, as the work that I do inside schools, this is the biggest struggle. It's when kids don't see themselves inside the school. That doesn't mean that they stop coming to school. They then begin to believe in other things about the school.
Wow.
Right. And so that's what I try and do, is encourage adults to understand that if you aren't consciously paying attention to the experiences of these young people, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop thinking about it. They're going to create their own narrative.
That's it, amongst themselves.
And so, you know, when these situations happen, when these N words and things like that, this is a language issue. So kids are always going to use profanity. They always have.
Yep.
All right. But there are certain words that you can use that can elevate a situation more than others.
Right.
And so schools have to do a good job of saying, hey, look, we're going to always police language. But if you use certain things, I'm going to tell you straight up, this is what we're going to do. And so that way people know what happens. Like you cannot walk up and call your teacher a B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know, that's going to elevate.
It's going to elevate.
Right. Now you might say, bro, and they'd be like, hey, look, you know, that's too formal, informal. Like, don't, let's not do that.
Right.
But you walk up and elevate that language and use that.
Yep.
And a female teacher, let her be black. Oh, bro, it's going down. So that's the thing that, you know, in situations like that people think it's isolated.
Yeah.
But when you don't address it, it becomes systemic. And then when the student of color responds back, now they're like, hey, look, you know what we do about confrontation, physical confrontation, we got to put you out, you know, but nah, bro, I told you this. And not only did I tell you, I know you heard it and you didn't do anything about it. So that's where
now I'm going to do something about it.
I'm definitely going to do something about it.
You know what I mean? So, all right, I know we're short on time, but I got to get you to tell me about tell the people about Trap P.D. What is it? What's the objective of it? How do they get involved?
Yeah, that's great. You know, T, you've been really involved in helping to think through the strategy around Trap P.D. And so Trap P.D. is going to be a space where I actually house the professional development, but it's a space for people who want and are passionate about teaching Black and brown people, where we validate the culture of Black and brown people so that people understand the quality and the importance of relationships and what we say, how we define it. Because so much of what happens for us is where we got to go into spaces and adjust. We got to code switch to other people's predetermined definitions of who we are. But this is going to be a space where we come in and say, no. This is what it is. This is what it is for us. And so then we leave out as an army of people more prepared to support those folk and partner with people in the community who are interested like you in helping schools elevate themselves and get into that creative space.
Absolutely. Man, you heard it here first. Now, how can the people find you, man?
Listen, man, we all over the place, man. We on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I ain't no big Twitter person, y'all. So don't get on me. I apologize for that. But listen, man, hit us on Instagram, Simmons Advantage, Kwame Simmons Educates, and then Facebook, Kwame Simmons, man, and Simmons Advantage. So look forward to touching base with all you guys, man, as soon as possible. Let's keep it moving.
That is, man. Hey, Twan, thanks, man. Let's get out of here, man. It's the code. We vibrate at a creator's frequency. I'm T the Chief Geek, and it's my man Kwame Simmons.
Peace.